Hello, and welcome to Nerds of the Old Republic, the show where I have a drinking problem, and so I ask my friends to cover by reading books with me so we can get together and talk. I'm Adam.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are talking about Jeff Vandermeer's, well, it is a book. It's called Hummingbird Salamander.
Yes, book confirmed.
Yes, is physical product. No, I will be more nuanced as we talk about it later, but we've been on a noir vibe and kick lately. We watched Cowboy Bebop. We've been talking about what else was in the same genre? Oh, 36 Streets was super noir with all of its smoke.
And we did what was that? Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. And so this was my pick, and I wanted to ride that train some more, but I wanted a twist on it, something novel. So when I had seen that Jeff Vandermeer had written one, and it had included like clifi and a little bit more open-ended, kind of mysterious nature. Some of the reviews said Pinchonian, which we all will take issue with. I know.
Not any version of the term Pinchonian I'm familiar with, but
same here. Maybe because they're both books.
Does not conform to any Pinchonian geometry that you're aware of.
Nice. Yep. I like what you said too, Adam, because they're both books. Thomas Pynchon wrote books, as is this. This is also a book.
That's a nice way to put it.
There's words here. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, if you've never listened in, we always try to pair ourselves with a themed drink. And so Sean and I are doing something different today. We both brought a rum. And I think we're going to start with Sean's because it's kind of the cast favorite. So, Sean, would you mind talking about what you've brought for us today?
Well, I know we've featured it on the cast in the past. Mm-hmm. I am also a lyrical gangster. But the
murderer.
Yeah.
What a reference, man.
Yeah. Thank you. We're gonna get deep into the tentacle grip of the Kraken, only because it's my go-to rum. It is, it is mother, it is father, it is all
alpha and omega.
Yes, when you're looking for that that experience at the liquor store, and you don't know what to do. I always feel safe grabbing a handle of the Kraken and then obliterating my senses by drinking too much of it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I don't know if you had the same experience, but I actually hear weird, otherworldly voices in a different language that I cannot understand when I walk past the bottle. Every time.
Yeah, I thought that was just part of their display.
Drums. There's always some
drums. Yeah, and then I feel like a madness setting in until I purchase.
Yeah, I thought that was all part of the display. I guess I might be wrong.
Good marketing.
That's
very good marketing.
I wonder if it's like infrasound being blasted at me, and that's how I'm affected, and I'm just going mad.
But hey, it works, and it's a drinkable, relatively inexpensive, and yet still, I think, high quality spiced dark rum. It's
definitely
it'll get you drunk.
Yep, and you'll enjoy it while you do it too.
Yes,
unlike some others.
Speaking of that, let's have a sip.
Sounds good.
Let's go. Cheers, gents.
Cheers.
I had to do the Cthulhu.
I was. Yeah, you beat me to it.
That's good rum.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
smooth.
Yeah, I think we said before vanilla notes. Yeah, very good.
Definitely got
very vanilla. Yeah,
it tastes like Captain Morgan Reserve, and I think it's very similar in formula to that rum, which is a more high end Captain. It's just it's got a real smooth finish. It doesn't leave you burning.
Nope.
Yeah.
And it's light. Like some of those really premium rums that are dark, get very heavy mouthfeel, and this is just a nice sipper. Like you said, this feels like the beach. This feels like a pool.
Screams sand and palm trees. And it also, I speak from experience, when Sean left the last bottle we used in a cast at my house, it pairs very nicely with a good cigar. A glass of Kraken with ice cubes and a good cigar.
Maybe in better weather we can. That summer cast that we'll pitch later.
We're at that part of the year here in Western New York where the better weather starts to seem achievable.
You mean when the Sabre season is over and the better weather is coming?
Over, but
the draft is coming.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, the NFL draft. That's how I pin it. NFL draft's the 24th.
Yeah,
so
draft season.
We're down there.
Yeah,
patio season. All right, I have this. Possibly the fanciest rum I've ever purchased in my life. No, not even possibly. It is, except for my honeymoon on Jamaica when they gave you a free shot of rum at the Appleton Distillery. That was it.
Wow.
Technically, I bought it because I bought the tour. But we're going to try some Diplimatico from Venezuela, actually, which I think is perfect for what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
With Vilcacampa is how I'm going to say it. It's probably all wrong, but
I think that sounds right.
you know what? I think if I just throw enough accent on,
Vilcapampa.
Vilcacampa. So this is Diplimatico Premium Dark Rum. Ideal for mixing in long drinks or twist on classic cocktails. Rum. It's spelled 3 different ways because apparently the history of rum. Extraordinary. Aged rum blended to perfection. It'll get you drunk. How's that on there? No, I'm just kidding. But this is, Food and Wine gave this a 92.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And that's essentially when I don't know what to purchase. That's what I do is I look at the little fancy tags under the shelf. And anything above 85 is like free game for me.
Can we get some ice for these glasses while you're...
Sure.
Did you have that rinsed out yet? Or?
It's all good. Yeah, it can just be filled.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll just you can just pour mine neat.
What?
This sounds fancy enough.
You know what? I'm gonna follow. I'm gonna follow Mike because he's a trendsetter.
Sean, have some ice.
No.
We're not shaming.
No.
We're not shaming
I
you.
feel like you were pointing out that my wiener is too small or something.
Powered by
Doesn't
Little
need
Dick
to be
Energy.
Pointed out.
All right. Here we go. I'll pull. It's got a nice pull cork on it, so let's see if I can get this right the first time.
Nice. Perfect.
Would you like to smell the cork?
I would actually. Thank you.
This is 8 years aged in whiskey barrels, which is part of why I bought it because I thought it might be a good bridge between the two because I know we all like whiskey too.
Yeah.
But Mike, I'll give you your pour first.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
It's good. Thank you.
Say when.
Juan, my father-in-law used to say, "I'll take 3 fingers this way," and he would hold them vertically. You know. All right. That looks like a gorgeous color. It's caramel colored in the glass.
So we always try to pick out themed drinks. We should point out to the audience at home. And the main character in this book, it's the one name that I did remember.
Jane
coming in
Smith?
here.
Or Sylvina.
Was it Jane? Is that what it was? Jane?
It was
The
literally
narrator.
The narrator's
Okay,
Jane Smith.
Okay,
yep.
yeah. At several points in the book, she drinks rum and cokes, and she makes a point about how she'll only allow herself 2. And then she drinks more than 2,
Right.
and acts surprised that she did that. And so we thought that rum, would be the good theme drink to go with for this.
It's also a big deal in South America where a lot of the text is sort of like centered around ideas and things. So I get that. Especially Venezuelan rum is a big part of the story. Well,
Yeah, that was just it's just a fortunate find on that one. And we haven't featured rum in a while, so
Yeah.
good call.
All right. Well, we
My
tried
hand
the
drinks.
Kraken. Let's try this one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh man, that is too smooth.
You can definitely taste the
Wow.
That is
whiskey
really good.
barrel infusion in that.
yeah. And I'm getting like char at the end.
Yeah, there's like a aftertaste of like spice. Like I can feel the sides of my tongue tingling from it for sure.
Yep. It's dry.
Which is good because it balances off the vanilla because there's heavy vanilla at
Yeah.
the front end.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
This is I'm very happy
really
with this.
good, man.
I gotta say, I would not put this in a rum and coke. I think I would
No.
drink this just as
I think
is.
yeah. I'm glad you said neat because this is the way.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is the way.
Yeah, absolutely is. I'm really going to enjoy that because sometimes you just don't know what to pick, but you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to try something new. So I'm glad it pans out.
And I would put ice cubes in this, absolutely.
Sure.
Depending on where I was drinking it. But I thought for the tasting, this is fancy enough. I wanted to taste it pure without anything diluting
It really
it.
coats the glass nicely.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good.
this is good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
good.
hey, I'm glad something I picked for today is good because we should talk about the book for I don't know a little bit.
Well, do you guys want like an actual rum and coke in the background too, or are you content to sip on rum?
I'll sip on this for a while.
I'll sip on this and then I'll switch to rum and coke,
All right.
please.
I might make one in the background. So you
By
get-
all means.
Good. It'll provide some ASMR, some ambiance.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Like we're at a bar mixing drinks and talking about literature, as most people do at bars.
Yeah. What else does one do at bars? Pick up human beings to have one night night stands with? I don't know how.
Yeah,
that seems odd.
That's not a thing humans do.
Gross. You don't even know them.
No. So if we're talking about the book, I guess we can transition over to it. And so what what I picked up on was that, we've got a noir where our character Jane Smith, who literally will not give us her name, is in like a security firm. I mean, I'm putting quotes around security because it seems like she does like background work checking, like people's identifications and their like who they are, that sort of thing, making sure their like OPSEC is good for their IT and whatnot. But she's kind of like the person who goes and gets contracts and tries to fulfill them.
Yeah, and I think she talks about how part of her job is like she finds the holes in the existing security.
Yes,
to help the company like figure out how to sell them more shit or something.
Yeah, I almost felt like she was like a physical white hat hacker. Like she would just be that person. And then one day she finds she is given a stuffed hummingbird, right?
Yeah, that the book kind of starts immediately with that. Like I think she gets a letter and she has to go pick it up from like a lockbox or a locker or something like that. Yeah.
Very noir-y.
Yeah.
Right, which I was like, okay, let's go. And it sounded very much like, this confessional style where you imagine they're like in prison or something. So I'm like, okay, let's find how they got there. And there's a few hundred pages that go by. And you eventually get to like some semblance of action, but it's kind of like them chasing down a client who's not there,
right?
Who won't give you any more hints,
right?
And when she does do things like break into one of the shell company's holding facilities, you don't really know that what they find is actually a clue for them. It's just like something. It could be a serial number,
right?
And has nothing to do with like the mystery of this billionaire's daughter who went rogue and became like a eco-terrorist, essentially.
Right. So I did something I never do, literally never, and I did this one on an audiobook. And so I felt every bit of that, what you're talking about, that lack of plot progression that seemed to go on forever. So I want to back up at this point because the author, Jeff Vandermeer, is a really great author. I've read 2 of his books from his Ambergris trilogy. So there's 3 of them. I haven't read the 3rd one yet. The first 2 are both fantastic. They are like I think they're technically considered part of the New Weird movement, which is like vaguely Lovecraftian, but that's what they call it. Okay. And the book centers around a fictional city called Ambergris, and covers like an entire history of this city and different like races and people and things that live in this city. And there's like all this sort of really cool genre blending. The atmosphere in this thing is the best part. Like reading it, it definitely gives you that. Cosmic horror is not the right word, but like weird and different like vibe, which is really cool. They're beautifully written. I cannot say enough positive things about them. They're awesome. I have not read any of the Annihilation trilogy, but that was that is a highly regarded trilogy itself. And then, of course, was turned into the excellent movie starring Natalie Portman, Annihilation. So he's a highly regarded author. This was just very different from my expectations for a Jeff Vandermeer book. And I just kept waiting for it to get weird and to get like like science fiction-y and stuff, and it just felt for a long time like we were following a person's diary, and all she ever wrote about is how she's a bad wife and a bad mother who drinks too much and cheats on her husband and is miserable and lifts a lot of weights. And it's like, okay, I get it, character development, but like I don't need 200 pages of that shit. I need the plot to move forward. And listening to this on my commute was starting to bring me down. Like it was like too much of it. It's like
I was wondering what was going on with you for the last month.
I've just been sort of in a dark place, lifting a lot of weights and getting drunk, and
going to this sketchy garage gym.
But it was too much of that, and it felt like one of those books where it was like there was an idea. I'm certainly not going to speak for the author, but it felt to me like the author had an idea and then didn't really know what to do with it and was trying to hit a page count. That's just how the experience of listening to the book felt to me.
Yeah. Sean, you want to chime in. I feel like you and I are similar. I'm gonna maybe walk back some of my criticisms in a sec.
Did my sigh come through on there? I mean, I don't
Totally.
know.
Do you want me to repeat it though?
No, I mean you can when it's your turn, I suppose. If you need to, yes. Thank you. That felt good too. I got a quick question. In this Ambergris trilogy, do they ever acknowledge that that's the term for whale vomit?
I forget. I read it several years ago. But
That's what they make perfume out of.
Yeah, yes, I learned that from Futurama, actually.
Yes. So anyway, this is the second Vandermeer work I've read. The first being that short story from The Weird. And go back and listen to that one, folks.
I need to interrupt for 1 second because that short story from that collection was an excerpt from the Ambergris trilogy.
Correct.
But
There you go.
But as I said, I started reading it and I was like, this is out of context from the book, and it was giving off the wrong vibe, and that's why I had you guys read a different story. But for Sean, it was too late.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to start maybe breaking from Mike's endorsement of Vandermeer and just say it's not for me, because after having read that short story and this book now, I'm like, I'm sorry. It's like if you had watched the sequel trilogy of Star Wars before watching any of the other Star Wars. Sure, they might be great, but now I'm like, I'm just like, I don't think it's worth it to try and go back to that world anymore. No matter, technically talented writer, I could tell the man knows how to write. I mean, that is clear in what I've read. But the stories themselves, I found myself with this book forcing it. Like I read the first few chapters and it was like it was a slog immediately. You know how you get a book and you can't put it down and how good that feels?
Yep.
This is the complete opposite of that. I had to fight myself to pick it up, and you guys know I'm a completionist, so I am not going to let it hang there. I made it happen.
There's, I believe, only one other book in the cast that Sean has not finished, and I would love for any of our listeners to know which one that is. Go back and find it and let us know at Nerds of Old Republic
It is
at
super
Gmail.
rare.
Yep. There's
Super
only
rare.
one other one that I remember.
But this one I did finish. Grudgingly, I finished it. And from the jump, I did not like the main character. And I understand that she's a very different person. She's not your traditional protagonist. Her description, both physical and mental, and her, like everything about, maybe it's this name, maybe it's that name. We'll go with this name. Like the whole thing, that whole conceit at the beginning, I'm like, well, fuck you. You know, like this whole thing just like, I'm reading a book. I'm not sitting here listening to a whatever. I just didn't buy it. It wasn't sold correctly to pull me in. And then, like you guys said, it took how long for anything to happen? Something happens, and then it's that long again before something else happens, and you realize in the end, none of it meant anything.
Right.
It was a completely worthless story.
Right.
Even after like the main discovery and everything that goes on with Jane, quote unquote, it's all pointless. And I'm like, my God, do I like everything? The descriptions, the characters, the motivation, the Hummingbird Salamander thing, the whole thing. It was like, none of it resonated. None of it landed. None of it made me go, yeah, I want to read another chapter. None of it. Like the whole, honestly, if I could round up every copy of this book, put them in a pit and burn them.
Oh, man.
I think I'd be doing the world a service.
Wow, Sean is going full totalitarian.
Jeff Vandermeer.
Nerds of the Old Republic does not endorse book banning of any kind, of any shape or form.
I'm sorry. I'm just, this is bad. This is like take your worst Star Trek episode and multiply it by 10 bad. Like, and then I know we said it in like in a pitched thing we did earlier, but we've tried to do
Clifi. Climate fiction.
Yeah. And again, everything about me, I should be all about it. Walk Away took me a while, but after talking about it, I came back to it and realized, you know what, that was better than I thought.
Right.
The ideas were better. The story was better. It was just some of the execution left me a little like wanting.
Right.
It was the sex scenes, wasn't it?
There was the popping the toe and all that. There were some things that were a little weird.
Popped a toe in her mouth.
But in the end, I came back appreciating it and glad that I'd read it. What was the one that you recommended?
Termination Shot.
Termination
Neil
Shot?
Stephenson. Yeah.
I was going to bring Termination Shot.
I was not a Neil Stephenson fan from the second cast ever with
Snow Crash.
Snow Crash. It took me a while. I finally came around to that and realized, you know what? I just got to have fun, let my pubes down a little bit. And
please don't do that while we're eating at the table.
No, I came around on that, and I was excited to read another Stevenson, and it was okay, But at the same time, I'm like, God, there's just nothing about this that's compelling.
Right.
And I think ultimately what it comes down to is clifi as a genre is a very difficult tightrope to walk.
And this predates the cast, but what was the other book that we read? American War
by Omar Al-Akkad.
Yeah, that was our old book club. Yeah.
I mean, I think I agree with you, Sean. I think it's just like it's a genre I feel like I ought to like, and I have not found a book yet because I fucking love Neil Stephenson, and I did not like that book at all.
When you think about the nature of climate change and environmentalism and everything, it's such a slow burn for all of it. To have a novel, to be tight, to have a story that works, like think about like movies like 2012 or whatever. There has to be some like immediate cataclysm, or else it's just not. It doesn't resonate enough. And I hate to say it, even as I'm not a popcorn movie guy all the time, but I like nuance and I like subtlety and things. I love it. But I feel like it's almost too subtle. And with this story, there's a lot of things baked into it. But for the most part, it was just a non-compelling mystery.
Right. I found myself like very much sympathizing with the people that she was having conflicts with throughout the book. I don't mean the bad
like
guys,
Hillman, no.
Right? I mean like her boss at work who was like, "Get the fuck out of here,
Alex.
you're fired." Or the girl that was like been like under her on the chart or whatever, who she made go do research for her, and that girl's like, "You're breaking rules. I'm not going to do this shit for you." And like I'm like sympathizing with these people. Her husband says some stuff to her. Toward the end of the book, she confronts her father, who she's been telling us like the whole book was like a monster and blah blah blah. But he tells her, "You were just so angry in those days, and we were trying not to piss you off." I'm paraphrasing, but something like that he says. And I'm listening to that on the audiobook, and I'm going like, "Wow, preach!" Like that's the impression, like that she's just fucking mad and hates everybody, and like she's miserable, and her life is miserable. And there's no amount that came across to me of like I should feel sorry for her or like sympathy.
Right.
No.
I feel like you just feel like you're a bad person who treats everyone badly and then wants sympathy.
And for a while I was reading it through the lens of like, well, what if she's like neurodivergent? Like what if this is a person on the autism spectrum and like this is from their point of view, so it's going to be very, affectless and that sort of thing. But no, they understand how other people act and feel, and they're like trying to analyze everybody in front of them. They just suck at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Often.
He tried to make this super complex character that had so many like, she was a wrestler, she's a bodybuilder, she's a mother, she's a tech security girl, whatever. She's she's married to this big burly dude.
She's a dandelion.
She's all these things. She has affairs. She's chasing down mysteries in that, and she doesn't know it. In the end, you're left with like, who the fuck are you? Like this character had so many possibly interesting things, and none of them made me go like you said, I had no sympathy at all. And you can write an avant-garde, a neurodivergent character and do it well, and this is not that. This is not a well-written character.
And you predicted the other thing I was going to say about Clifi. Like, I want to like it. So you guys both did. I want to like it. Like, literally, I took that political survey you sent, and the very top one was environmentalism.
Yeah.
And then Saint Simonianism. I got to look that one up.
I got that one too.
Did you?
Never heard of it.
Oh, that's why we're friends.
Are you voting for Vermin Supreme, by the way?
We're both fellow
No.
Saint Simonius.
Yeah, no, Vermin Supreme didn't show up on my list there. But as an environmentalist, I'm like, okay, yeah, this should be it.
Yeah.
But then what happens is, like you said, I think it's also why humanity hasn't acted faster, because it's so slow we can't grasp the glacier moving down the hill.
It's the frog in the boiling water pot.
Yeah,
it won't
that's
jump out
better.
because it just gets slower. And everything. What was that? Al Gore came up with that, or somebody did years ago. And it's just this idea that it's not going to hit you until it does. And the sad thing is it's hitting so many people already, and they just don't think of it that way. They don't think it's actually happening, but it doesn't make for truly compelling literature, unfortunately. And you see, like the best things we've read that have it as an element. It's almost like a past tense thing.
Yeah.
Like some of the stuff we read where it's like, oh, it's the aftermath of the climate change, or it's the aftermath of global warming, or we tried something and it didn't work.
Our very next episode is Mad Max.
Right. It's all those things that it's the actual change itself that I think it's just too difficult a tightrope to walk.
Yeah.
Too abstract.
It is.
I mean, easier said than done, I suppose. Here I am sitting in my armchair, telling artists how they ought to do this, but like,
Well, wait a sec, though. I mean, like, Bill Murray agrees with us every time he shows up to talk to a cast.
he's true. I will say, Adam, he has not disagreed with us one time.
Not
a single time.
Yep.
But I feel like you could have written, like you're saying, you said past tense. I'm thinking more like backdrop. Like the changes happening, all the shit with like animal whatever that their taxidermy bullshit in the book could all be like the backdrop. If you have a better, and what you really want is this to be a noir, a detective like thing, and just write a better one to go over the top of it. And that was the problem. It wasn't the climate shit like that bothered me about this book. It was that the story that's supposed to be written on top of that wasn't a story. It was a horrible narrator, and almost nothing happened forever.
It was all characterization.
Take Snow Crash. That's a good example of an environmental disaster playing out while the rest of the story is happening, and that's just background, like I don't say noise, but it's just background. Or the T.R. Napper story we just read. Like they talk about it and how it's sort of like things are there, but it's not the central crux of the story. I think it's not that it's too difficult. You know what, audience? Reach out. If you know there's a clifi out there that hits everything that we're looking for, recommend it.
Oh, we're here for it.
We will read it.
Yeah.
But we need to find that secret element where it's like, oh yeah, okay, that is compelling. That is a good story. That makes me think. Otherwise, this book may be just like, say, fuck it. I don't want to read this. Yeah. I had to force it.
So I've been watching and listening to a lot of Brandon Sanderson on his YouTube channel lately because I like fiction, and he talks a lot about how to write fiction. He actually streams his Fantasy Workshop 101 from BNY University, and he's just updating it. And he talks about how setting, characters, and plot are 3 circles, and you connect them with conflict. And I feel like this book tried to make the clifi the conflict. And it didn't connect anything. Like, it just missed all the other circles.
Right. And there's so many contrivances, to try and make the story tighter. And especially at the end, you could tell... I mean, forgive me for this, Vandermeer, if this isn't true, but it just felt like you were trying so hard to link things up. And it was, like, forced. It was absolutely... Like, that just didn't feel natural. It didn't seem like... What was the weird-ass coincidence like that? She was a neighbor the whole time. Sylvina was a neighbor of hers while she was growing up. Like, that just felt so lazy. Like, that was... Come on.
Like, I voyeured on you.
I mean, it's hard to throw in twists like that in a book that has been so devoid of any kind of twist or any kind of real tension or suspense at all the entire book. You know what I mean? Like, it has to have been doing other work up to that point for a twist to actually land. If you just take a tedious non-story being told by a very unlikable character, then what you end up with when you try to throw a twist in at the end like that, like, oh, it was the neighbor the whole time, then it's like, I wasn't ready for that. And like you said, it's like you're trying to save it. You know, it's like too much.
It could have been better if the brother had just died in an accident, or if the grandfather had like neglected something and let him die, and that's why she killed him, or whatever.
Yeah, Shot was drunk, and there you go.
But trying to like knit these things together, it felt like you're like it's like an 8-year-old trying to sew a patch onto something. It's like it's gonna look horrible, and that's what happened.
I want to point out that on my library copy, the back has a blurb from Omar Al-Akkad of American War, who you talked about, and he says, Hummingbird Salamander is a profound and incendiary thriller. I disagree with thriller.
Incendiary?
Yeah, that's definitely not incendiary.
Hurtling backward from the end of the world. Jeff Vandermeer's tale of ecological and personal obsession. Okay, I agree with the personal obsession.
For sure.
Yeah. Inhabits that strange, surreal space where the natural world and human ambition collide. A space almost no other writer has chronicled. There might be a reason for that.
Yeah.
With as much reverence and imaginative lucidity. The result is a detective story. I just concur. I know that's not a word. Unlike any I've read before. Yeah, no, I won't even use a real word to disagree with you.
I de-agree.
That's right.
All right, Trump.
Yep. We made it 21 minutes without their name.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Fuck.
But, so, I guess here's what we're saying. One, the character could have been interesting if they were put into a plot where they had to do more.
Yeah.
It was almost like they were spectating the whole time, except for a few instances where they were like climbing through taxidermy.
Well, and also just less whiny. Like I mean, to not to put too fine a term on it, right? Like the character, and I was listening to it too. Maybe it doesn't read this way quite as much if you're reading the book. You guys can tell me, but like listening to it, I felt like all I was hearing was someone just whine about how miserable they are, how they hate everybody in their life, and how everything is awful. Like everything, her job, the people she works with, she'd go to her gym and the people there looked at her funny. Like everything was just this constant degree of disgust and dislike for everything. And it was taxing to listen to.
She felt detached to me from everything.
And I think, honestly, if I'm going to give any praise to this book, it's because she's an outsider from the get, like being a, like, I don't say giantess. That doesn't sound fair, but
No.
just a like she just, well, I mean, she's described as being a very
She describes
large
herself as a
woman,
mountain.
very bulky, very imposing.
Yes, many times.
Makes men very scared of her, but curious at the same time.
Her size, follow me on this one. Her size is to 36 Streets as smoke is to every scene in that book.
Yeah.
Fair.
Where was I going with that?
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I had a thought about the attempt here and the failure. It's just a failure. It honestly, it's just.
Maybe read the ambergris stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to have Vandermeer, I'm not.
And I haven't read Annihilation, but I know it's very highly regarded in the book, or the movie is so good. I've seen it, I think, twice, and I thought very highly of this author, and still do. I was almost tempted to finish this book and go right into the third book of Ambergris, which I haven't read yet, just to kind of rescue it, a little bit.
Wash your palate.
I think, whatever, if when authors that you like, you got to be willing to forgive the odd misfire. And that's what I want to do with Vandermeer, because I think I said it virtually the same thing when we did Termination Shock, because I obviously think very, very highly of Neil Stephenson, and that just felt wrong. That book didn't strike any of the notes that you come to Neil Stephenson for. And I'm going to read him again. It's just it was just a bad book, and I think that may be what this is for Jeff Vandermeer.
You just reminded me of my point. This book redeemed Termination Shock more for me, because I felt like, honestly, the rogue actor trying to do something about climate change and all of that feels more compelling than what's going on with this, what is it, like Star Trek 2 or 3 or whatever, with like the Genesis Project kind of like thing that she, by the way, if you get that reference, good on you.
You're listening to the right podcast.
But just the fact that she's got this like mine with all these endangered animals and plants or whatever, just waiting for the earth to end so that she can open it up and let them back out. And
she's got an ark buried somewhere.
Yes, and how that essentially is completely inconsequential, though. Like the story itself, it's like, oh, that's fucking nice. I guess it's like your floating like paradise you built. None of it had any kind of traction. None of it.
Probably $100 trillion project over the years. Doesn't make an impact on any part of the plot, period. So
yeah, it's a good. Are we ready for our recommendations then?
Yeah, I'm a solid no.
Okay.
Termination Shock might be re-engaging. It's a bit of a tome.
No, I'm going to
Walk
recommend.
Away if you need Clifi.
Walk Away. There you go. We're going to go Cory Doctorow's Walk Away for Clifi.
I would go to Doctorow first.
Yep.
For my recommendation, I think I've already said this. Read Jeff Vandermeer. Ambergris is great. Annihilation is highly regarded and turned into a great movie. I do not recommend this book. Unless you're a Vandermeer fan already and you just feel like you got to read all his stuff. And then in which case read it and keep in mind what I said before. They're not all bangers.
And that's only human nature, right?
Right.
Like when you spend 5, 2, 3 years on a project, you got to pump it out. You got to finish it. Otherwise, there's a sunk cost into that your publisher is going to want back. You got to finish it and just move on.
Yeah.
Jeff, if you're listening, come and argue with us. We'd love to have you on.
Honestly, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
That would be so baller to talk to you, and we could talk about whatever you want. We could talk about this. We could talk about Annihilation. You tell us, Jeff.
Defend yourself, because I wish I
Wow.
Defend yourself.
I wish I had another set of hands.
Here's
So I can give this book both thumbs
Both
down.
thumbs down. Yep. Oh, I knew that reference.
Gone
Oh,
bad.
yeah. It is. I run. Don't walk away from this thing when you see.
Oh,
Yeah, hit that bell.
This book sucked. In fact, fuck you, Jeff
There it
Vandermeer.
is. There it is. That was self-control for 34 minutes. Well, you know what? I think it is time to move on. So thank you for being here, dear audience. We really appreciate your time. Even if we said no to the book, hopefully we made you laugh a little bit. Maybe we saved you $30 or a trip to your local library like I spent. P.S.
Or
Support your libraries.
intrigued you to read why we didn't like it.
Yeah.
Judge for yourselves. We're not the
That's true.
tastemakers.
That's true. You have a brain. You're smart. That's why you're here.
Or email us or reach out to us on Blue Sky and we'll talk, man. We're happy
Definitely.
And Mr. Vandermeer, if you want to get on with us, we'll get you on a phone call or whatever. You could tell us like why we're so patently wrong about your work.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
What do we miss? What'd you try for?
Yeah.
Right? What do you got coming in the down the barrel? That'd be great. Love to hear that.
He's a highly regarded giant in the world of sci-fi, but I dare say that we are as well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we're like the Roger Ebert of the sci-fi podcasts, you know.
Really? Yeah.
So
yeah.
we make for a good debate.
There are tens of people who make their reading and watching choices based on what we have to say. So, I mean, beat that, anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you how you're not going to beat it. You're not going to beat it to our next podcast because we've already gone there. It's just not released yet because we have to edit it. But we are going to be talking about the world of Mad Max. Oh. You want to talk about some climate fiction right there? Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
The whole world is dry.
I feel like that cast will have a slightly different tone, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to have one more glass of rum, and then we're going to talk about it. So,
Oh, real quick though, I forgot, not apropos to anything, but I forgot to throw a shout out to our friends over at the Zabills cast.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
just had me on again. Check them out. They are fantastic. I got to meet Del Reed, the
Big
co-founder
up to
of
Del
Bill's
Reed.
fucking Mafia
Yeah,
guy.
big up to Del
26
Reed.
shirts. Check them out. The cast was a ton of fun. We're talking draft, we're talking free agency, and just like the Bills' upcoming season and fandom and everything. It's a really fun cast. There's some great pizza recommendations. I highly recommend the Zabills podcast wherever you get your podcast from.
that's right. Yeah, good friends.
And also, before we get out of here, I wanted to tie together a point you each were making earlier. Sean, you had mentioned people reaching out to us with recommendations. Adam, you had mentioned Brandon Sanderson. We did have one of our listeners reach out and wrote us a very nice email where he recommended several specific texts by Brandon Sanderson. From that email, I think we had narrowed it down to two that might be good for us, and we haven't picked the official one yet or put it on the list. But I think the intention is to pick one and sorry, Adam.
No, I'm trying to. It's been a while, and I don't have Wi-Fi right now. Was it Kevin? Is that who emailed us?
I don't remember. I don't.
We'll look that
off the top of my head.
Well,
but
I'll look it
but
up.
shout out to that fan, and we encourage
yeah.
all our listeners to do that because we are happy to engage, and we will be doing one of those Brandon Sanderson books fairly soon in the next few months.
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful synopsises.
It's
They
not
were
clifi, is
through.
it?
No.
No.
It's fantasy.
He does.
It's high
he
fantasy.
does great. From what I've read, I've only read books of his from his Stormlight archive.
Okay.
We can't do those here because those are about 1,400 pages long each. But his style is very much like traditional, epic, high fantasy.
Is he always touted as one of the guys who could finish Song of Ice and Fire? Is that the guy I'm thinking
Yes,
of?
Yes. We've made that joke because he did finish. What's the other
Wheel
one?
of Time.
Wheel of Time.
He finished.
That's right.
Robert Jordan's wife called him and was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I need you to finish this."
Well,
And
you
he
had
did.
mentioned his clinics or speeches on fiction or whatever, and I'm like, whatever that guy's saying, he would know because he is prolific as fuck. He puts out a ton of his own books, very high quality. I mean, high quality in the sense of modern epic high fantasy.
enjoy it.
It's consistently good, and he also writes other fucking people's books too. So
You're saying the only way we're going to get Winds of Winter and A Dreamer's Spring is if George Martin dies and lets Sanderson finish it?
Yeah.
And
All right,
literally
well,
it.
George.
You know the assignment.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, well, on a lighter note, thank you everybody for listening. Check us out at bookshop.org/NOTR. That is bookshop.org/NOTROR. That will be up in the list.
Nerds of
This
the
Old Republic.
No
Yeah.
Tor.
No Tor. If you need a book, we would love to help facilitate that. We get 15%. You're helping local bookstores, and bookshop.org does a lot of good for this world, as opposed to some local bookstores, some bookstores online that don't. So, be a force for good.
That's right.
All right.
And also follow us on Blue Sky.
Yes.
We're trying to get that going after our Twitter era ended.
Mm-hmm. See exclusive pictures of all of us in the studio over on Blue Sky.
That's right.
What's our handle there, Mike?
I think it's Nerds of the Old Republic. I don't know. Search us on Blue Sky. Nerds of the Old Republic. We're on Blue Sky. And we tried to get that going recently because Twitter was no longer for us for reasons. And so we're trying to get that Blue Sky going. So, yeah, give us a follow if you enjoyed the show.
All right. Thanks for everybody for listening. And until then, cheers.
Cheers.